Here's a close-up of the motherboard. Take a look at how clean everything looks. Hey everyone, Digital David here. Today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the MSI B650M Project Zero AMD motherboard. MSI did send me this sample, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to this motherboard will be in the video description. Take a look at the retail box and packaging right here. Turning it around to the back side, reveal some of its key tech specs highlighted here. This features back connect design, so look at that from the product image. We have all of our main cable connections on the back of this board to hide our cables from the front. We also have 2.5 gig LAN, Lightning Gen 4, and Lightning 20 gig for this board, and Wi-Fi 6E. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature with regulatory information and our quick installation guide. Take a look at those instructions, very detailed and thorough. Here's a look at the back side. Next, you'll see we have some stickers right here, as well as some cable management labels. Couple included cables right here. One with a 90 degree, one straight. Two Wi-Fi antennas and the Project Zero board itself. Let's go ahead, let's look at this in more detail. Front and center on the board, you'll see our AM5 socket. We have 4 DIMMs for DDR5, one PCI-E 4.0 X16 slot. You'll see a PCI 3.0 slot right there. Project Zero logo and branding all throughout. Look at the design. This is so neat. Really, really cool. Let's flip it over to the side. You'll see we have our clear and flash buttons, DisplayPort and HDMI, 9 USB ports with a mix of basically USB 2.0, 3.0, and USB Type-C all the way up to our 20 gig or 10 gig there. 2.5 gig for our LAN, Wi-Fi 6E, and a couple audio options for you. Mic in, and then line out and line in. Give you the side profile. We'll look at it from the other side, and the other side, and now to the back side. Let's make sure we're looking at it, I guess, the right way. Look at this. CPU power, main motherboard power, all of our fan connections here. USB Type-C, USB 3.0. I mean, look at that. RGB and audio, front panel. We got everything on the back side. How cool is that? Don't think I wasn't going to show you the front again with the cover removed. You do have 2 M.2 slots here, and both of them are PCI-E Gen 4, which is great. Now let's go ahead and get this thing installed. First things first, we're going to prep our motherboard. We're going to add our CPU. We're going to add an M.2 drive. And we're going to add 2 sticks of DDR5 RAM. The CPU we're going to use is the AMD Ryzen 7 7700X. So let's go ahead, let's get that installed right now. We're going to pop this open to reveal, ta-da, our AM5 socket here. Grab our CPU. What you're going to do is make sure you have this little golden triangle, if you can see that. We'll line up with the little triangle up in the top left-hand corner there, and on the cover you'll see the little triangle right there as well too. So just gently set it on there, and then we'll just go ahead and put this back on, and there we go. Pops right off. 1 down, 2 to go. Now let's go ahead, let's remove our heatsink there, and we'll get our drive installed. We're going to install our drive in the first slot that you see right here on the board. Just line it up like so. Take this screw and fasten everything back down in place. All right, drive's been installed. Now let's go ahead. We have our 2 sticks of RAM right here from Lexar. This is their Thor DDR5, up to 6,000 mega transfers per second. And on the board, it's clearly marked for us, just teeny tiny, which 2 DIMM slots we should use. It's going to be this last one and this, I'm going to call it the second one. So just make sure you have your pins the right way. And we don't. We have to put it this way. And then just gently press in place. Very satisfying snap. Same thing on the other one, and just gently press in place. There we go. CPU, M.2, and our RAM has been installed. Now we're going to drop our motherboard in place. Now they're not labeled in the hardware kit that comes with your case, at least if you're going to use the same MSI case that we're using. It's going to be the only bag though that has all of the same screws. That should help you identify it pretty easily. You'll have more than, I think, the 8 screws that we're going to need here, but those are the screws you're going to want to use. If you're using this motherboard, nothing to worry about, but make sure at this step, depending on your motherboard, you go ahead and put your I/O shield in place if needed. And we're going to gently line this up. Make sure it looks good on the standoffs. Should be right around there. That looks pretty good. And now it's time to drop all of our screws in place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws here. Now at this stage, you'll see our AIO has been installed and our GPU right here. Just wanted to show you there's still plenty of room to add more RAM sticks in the future. Even with this AIO, we are able to take advantage of that first slot. And our GPU fits great. This is the RTX 3080 FE. So you'll see how it's coming together here with this board. And so far, so good. Now it's time to plug in some cables. So we got quite the rat's nest going on back here, but we'll be able to get everything tidied up. First, we'll start with the power supply. This is so cool. This is my first time building with back connect. This is amazing. So we'll take this cable that you see right here. We'll just line it up and it'll go right in place on the back of our motherboard. This is way too cool. And they'll just gently snap right in. So there's our main power. We only have a couple more cables left. So we kind of just did a light build with this. We have our 2 CPU cables right here. And for this build, we might see, I think we can go up through the main channel too. We have the option, we could go this way as well, but they seem plenty long. We'll probably try for this side. And this is so nice. I usually have trouble with these cables. What a luxury. So I believe I want this one on that side and that one there. So theoretically, we'll plug those right in. They'll snap right in. That's the easiest CPU cables I've ever plugged in. Okay, yeah, cool. That'll go right through there. That'll be great. And then really, with this, we have 2 more cables, our GPU, and we have our basically accessory power cable. And I kept this one tied, so maybe we could just kind of cram it in there. And that guy's just right down here. So we'll line that one up. Only fits one way. Don't want to break anything. So that one's now snapped in. We can kind of tuck that guy out of the way. And now we're going to route our GPU cable for our power up through to the front to our GPU. So we got him up and out, and then we'll just gently line him up and press him in place. I love the yellow connector because all the yellow's hidden, so we know we have a nice firm connection. Now it's time for all the rest of the cables. So we're going to start up at the top right here. This first one is going to be our pump, and we're going to connect that to pump fan 1, just like so. And then these 2 are going to go, these are the 2 fans for that radiator. We're going to connect those to our CPU fan 1, and we'll use the included adapter that came with our AIO to connect those. Now we're moving further down in our rat's nest here. We're going to connect our USB type C right there. The Velcro strap's in the way, but that's okay. We'll just kind of push it out of the way a little bit. And then it'll just be nice and gentle, nice and snug. And then we have our USB 3.0 with a nice 90-degree connector right here. Perfect for this setup. Gently press that in place. And then you'll see we got our front panel connector right here. All of it in one piece, which is great. That's going to go in your JFP1 option. So easy. Love when they do that. And then we have, looks like HD audio. That's going to be right here. Plug that in. There we go. And then we should have our fan cable hiding right here. That's what we got. Do we have room for this? We're going to connect this to one of our open fan ports. So I see system fan 2 down here. That might be our best option if we can make it there. Let's do system fan 2 for that. And then do we have, what do we got here? We got some of our RGB as well too. So if we want to connect that to our board, looks like we have two options right here. JARGB V2 JARGB V2 V2. So if we want to use that with our motherboard software, we'll need to connect this to one of those. So let's do that right now. Ta-da, there we go. I believe that is every cable. Now, let's go ahead, let me snap my fingers, and this will be all nice and tidy. Good enough to call it a day. Now let's go ahead, let's plug it in, power it on, and try it out. Here's a close-up of the motherboard. Take a look at how clean everything looks, thanks to Project Zero. Literally just have our one GPU cable there, and that's it on the front. Pretty remarkable. Great form factor. Looks really clean. Here's the motherboard from the back. I/O panel looks nice. And here's a look from the back side. All of our connections up top. Down the side. And then some along the bottom. Pretty sweet. Our system's booted up. We're in our BIOS settings right now. This is the screen you're gonna be at. Take a look at our BIOS version here. That's the most accurate and up-to-date version at the time of this video. There was no update for us once we got everything installed. You'll see some quick tech specs up here at the top, game boost. Then we have our XMP or EXPO profiles right here to enable if we want to take advantage of faster RAM speeds depending on our RAM. In this case, we have 6,000 megahertz for our speed here, and currently by default it's 4,800. So we will want to toggle this on. Next, you'll see in the easy mode settings, we got our CPU right there. There's our RAM with the current frequency, but what it's capable of doing with our profile 1. Then we have our storage options, fan information. There's a help section here. Then we have our M-Flash settings, favorites, and hardware monitoring. Take a look right here. FTPM 2.0, ERP ready, HD audio controller, UEFI versus CSM, ACHI RAID, RGB lights. So that's a quick peek at the BIOS in basically our easy mode settings. And then we have advanced right here. So up at the top, you're seeing the same info, but now we have our settings, system status. Take a look at everything there. Then we have our advanced section. See all the settings you can configure as needed. Boot section. Security section. Save and exit. Here's our overclocking settings. There's two different modes, normal or expert. Find exactly what you're looking for. And your voltages. And we have our other settings down here at the bottom. Then we have our M-Flash right there. If you want to enter M-Flash mode. Overclocking profiles. Got 6 profiles there to choose from, or you can load profiles. Beta runner down at the bottom. Then we have hardware monitoring right here. You can also get to this from the easy mode section. So CPU, system, MOS chipset, CPU pump, system 1, system 2, system 3. Some nice breakdown there. Then all those specs at the bottom. You can turn all to full speed, all set to default, all set cancel. So you can tweak around right there however you want. PWM, DC, or auto. Smart fan mode. Temperature down here if you want to cycle between the two. You got Celsius and degrees Fahrenheit right there. Now booted into Windows, I wanted to show you some of our motherboard software with MSI Center, where first up you're seeing on the screen our hardware monitoring, CPU usage, frequency, temps, all of that. Then you'll see to the right-hand side, we have some of our system specs here from our fans and other temps, speeds, voltages. You'll find all of that right there on the side. Great to see that our RAM has since been changed when I enabled it to 6,000 megahertz, that we're getting the correct speed. Also, you'll find up at the top, we have a couple more options here. We have the feature section. That's going to bring up Mystic Light. So if we wanted to use our software to control the motherboard and all of the LED products, we can do that right here from within these settings. So basically you're going to pick and choose which headers, in this case all of them. What style do you want? So you could pick, let's say flame, something along those lines. Choose your speed, brightness, hit apply, and then you'll see that once it loads, it will change it on the fans. But in this case, you're not noticing a change here because we have it routed through the dedicated button on the front with our system. So on our front panel per se, where we can change it, but we should be able just to hold this down. It flickers, and now we should be able to go back here and change everything from within the software. Let's hit apply again. We'll see if it adds the flame. There we go. We now have the flame set up, and we're controlling it from our software instead of the physical dedicated button. So let me show you another one here. Want to see what Meteor looks like. We'll hit apply. Should notice the change there. And then let's do another one. How about flashing? We'll hit apply. And now you should see that's a really quick flash. All right, let's try another one. That looks a little strange. What do we want? Coloring. Now we got the nice ring of color there. Well, where'd you go? There we go. There's the ring. Come on. Hi. It's slow. We're going to bump up the speed and the brightness and see what happens. There we go. So just pick and choose the effects and what you want. Let's try one more. Color pulse. But you get the idea. Use Mystic Light if you want. Use your dedicated controls or some other software as you see fit. And then up in the top, I wanted to point out too really quickly that you can use MSI Center to update the BIOS or things along those lines. With the live update setting here, you can scan for updates, or if you want to do things like the BIOS, you could go to the advanced option. You'll select yes, and if there's any updates available, they will populate right here on the screen for you. You'll see that no updates are available, but MSI has really simple software to use to update and control your motherboard and also monitor hardware in real time. So now let me share with you my final thoughts in regards to this MSI Project Zero board. Well, you've probably guessed it, but the best feature hands down is the fact that we don't have any cable connections on the front for this board. It's all done through the back. If you get a compatible case, like the case you see here, it's really gonna be a nice and easy build for you. I really enjoyed my first build ever using the back connect. I want to do more of those in the future. That would actually be my preference already than having to connect things on the front. Just make sure you get a case like this with a 270-degree tempered glass to really show off the inside. Looking forward to the future where maybe we can ditch the GPU cable as well and have power delivered through PCI-E or some other form factor way where we could hide that, maybe even depending on a specific GPU that's made so it could connect in the back or something along those lines. That would be really, really neat. BIOS is great. If you've ever used an MSI board before, it's going to be the same experience. You got the easy and advanced mode. To me, everything is clearly labeled and you're able to find exactly what you're looking for. Most of you probably will only have to go in there to enable like your XMP profile to overclock your RAM, depending on the RAM that you selected for your build. Really no negatives that I can find right now. For a board at this size, it's easy to dock it for, you know, I always want more ports or more USBs. I want more expansion slots, things like that. But for this form factor and size, it's well within the spec that you've come to expect, given lots of great features in that smaller form factor. So no negatives so far. Time will tell to see how it lasts, but I'm still using MSI boards as my main boards here. The computer that I'm pointing to off to the side that I've been creating content on now for, I don't know, 4 years plus is an MSI board, and we've had zero issues at all. So I expect the same great things for years to come with this particular motherboard as well.